As of today, Thursday, April 2nd, 2026, the Middle East stands at the center of a dangerous escalation that ignited exactly 5 weeks ago. A conflict that has fundamentally reshaped global security, the world economy, and the very nature of modern combat. What began as a coordinated surprise air campaign known as Operation Epic Fury has expanded into a multi-front regional war, a high-stakes maritime blockade, and the world's first full-scale demonstration of artificial intelligence in active warfare. This isn't about choosing sides. It's about giving you the clearest picture possible, covering everything from the latest casualty figures and leader statements to the weapons and cutting-edge AI being deployed, the intense cyber and psychological operations underway, and the very real ways this conflict is touching everyday life around the globe. Everything here comes straight from reports by Reuters, AP, Al Jazeera, the UN, and official statements, no spin, just facts. The spark hit on February 28, 2026. US and Israeli forces carried out coordinated surprise airstrikes on Iranian military bases, nuclear sites, and top leadership targets. These initial strikes included the dropping of approximately 30 high-yield munitions on a high-security compound in Tehran, successfully killing Iran's longtime supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, and several other senior officials of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Iran hit back fast with barrages of missiles and drones aimed at Israel and US positions across the region. That launched what's now known as the 2026 Iran War. It didn't stop at the borders. Within days, Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon unleashed rockets and missiles toward Israel, triggering deep Israeli counterstrikes inside Lebanon and a subsequent ground offensive. Both sides framed their moves as defensive. Washington and Jerusalem cite Iran's nuclear ambitions and regional aggression, while Tehran calls the initial strikes unprovoked and vows to protect its sovereignty. In a major primetime national address from the White House last night, April 1st, President Donald Trump claimed that the U.S. military has essentially decimated the Iranian regime's conventional capabilities. He stated that the Iranian Navy is annihilated, their air force is in ruins, and their missile production facilities are being obliterated. The president characterized the regime as no longer a threat, but vowed to continue hitting the country extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks to ensure a total resolution, famously remarking that he would bring the regime back to the Stone Ages if they do not immediately comply with U.S. terms. In response to this, Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, issued a defiant statement today through state media, dismissing the president's 15-point peace proposal as unreasonable and maximalist. He asserted that the Revolutionary Guard maintains decisive and dominant control over the Strait of Hormuz, promising that the waterway will remain closed to any enemies of the nation. The human cost of this conflict is already staggering and continues to mount at an alarming rate. Inside Iran, casualty reports indicate over 1,900 deaths, though US and Israeli intelligence estimate military losses closer to 6,000, along with heavy damage to missile systems and naval assets. In Lebanon, the health ministry says Israeli strikes since early March have claimed over 1,300 lives, including more than 125 children and dozens of health workers, with roughly 350 of those being Hezbollah fighters. The violence has displaced over 1.2 million people, roughly 25% of Lebanon's entire population, creating a humanitarian crisis as residents flee southern Lebanon and the suburbs of Beirut. Israel has reported 19 deaths from the Iranian and Hezbollah barrages, while the U.S. has confirmed 13 service members killed in action since the start of the war. The battlefield itself has become a high-tech arena, unlike anything we've seen before, featuring an unprecedented kill chain that operates at a speed far beyond human capability. The US and Israel are relying on precision airstrikes, bunker-buster bombs, and swarms of drones. But what makes this conflict historic is the role of artificial intelligence, what many analysts call the first true AI war. The US and Israel have integrated several advanced AI systems to shrink targeting decisions from hours to mere seconds. On the US side, the military has openly confirmed using the Maven Smart System, an AI-driven data analysis platform built by Palantir and powered by Anthropic's Claude AI. Maven processes massive streams of satellite imagery, drone footage, and signals intelligence to suggest precise coordinates and recommend specific weaponry. Israel is leaning even more heavily on its own proven systems developed by Unit 8200. The AI platform known as Hapsora, or the Gospel, scans vast amounts of surveillance data to generate rapid target lists of infrastructure at an industrial scale. Another tool, Lavender, builds databases linking individuals to militant networks by analyzing social connections, telecommunications patterns, and movement data to build a social matrix of suspected combatants. A third tool, Fire Factory, then assembles entire attack packages in minutes, calculating munitions, assigning aircraft and drones, and setting timelines. These systems were battle-tested in earlier operations and are now running at full scale, allowing forces to hit more than 5,500 targets inside Iran with remarkable speed. But the fighting isn't just kinetic, it's playing out across digital and psychological fronts too, in what experts call a full-spectrum convergence of warfare. Cyber operations have surged since day one. More than 60 Iranian-aligned hacker groups have mobilized, using AI-assisted tools to launch ransomware, data-wiping attacks, and DDoS strikes on US and Israeli corporate networks, financial systems, and Gulf cloud infrastructure. In response, US and Israeli cyber teams have disrupted Iranian command networks and missile guidance systems, while widespread GPS jamming and spoofing have complicated navigation for ships and aircraft alike. On the psychological side, both sides are battling for hearts, minds, and narratives. Iran floods state media and social platforms with messages of defiance and resilience to rally its population. Israel has conducted sophisticated influence operations, including hacking popular apps inside Iran, to deliver targeted messages and release selective footage highlighting the precision of its strikes to erode enemy morale. AI is supercharging these efforts on both sides, helping generate and spread disinformation or counter-narratives at unprecedented speed. It's a shadow war where bytes and beliefs can be as disruptive as any missile. A critical aspect of this conflict is the role of Russia and China, acting as Iran's technological anchors. While neither nation has intervened militarily, they have provided the connective tissue for Iran's defense. Russia has delivered S-400 air defense components and Su-35 fighter jets equipped with advanced radar to help Iran counter Western air superiority, while also providing high-resolution orbital surveillance from the Qayyam satellite. China has provided Iran with access to its Beidou 3 navigation constellation, which offers jam-resistant centimeter-level accuracy for missile guidance. This support allows Iran to track U.S. naval movements in the Persian Gulf with high precision despite Western electronic interference. To understand why the next piece of this puzzle feels so urgent, we have to step back and look at the Strait of Hormuz itself. For centuries, this narrow waterway, only about 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, has been one of the most strategically vital passages on Earth. It connects the Persian Gulf to the open Indian Ocean, serving as the sole maritime exit for oil and gas from some of the world's largest producers. Trade has flowed through it for thousands of years, and Iran has repeatedly threatened to close it in moments of crisis, knowing it carries roughly 20% of the planet's daily oil supply and a huge share of liquefied natural gas. That's exactly what we're seeing play out right now. Iran has imposed an electronic siege and physical blockade in retaliation for the February strikes, using smart mines and swarm drones. Tanker traffic has plummeted by 90%. More than 1,000 vessels are currently trapped, and oil prices have spiked sharply, surging past $120 a barrel. This has led to the largest supply disruption in history, causing U.S. gas prices to hit an average of $4 per gallon and triggering significant inflation in food and fertilizer costs worldwide. Today, Britain hosted a 30-nation summit to discuss a joint naval response to reopen the waterway and stop the global economy from being held hostage. NATO, for its part, is staying out of direct combat. Secretary General Mark Rutte has commended the U.S. and Israeli efforts, but has been clear that NATO itself will not be involved. President Trump has publicly pressed NATO allies to do more, warning of a very bad future for the alliance if they don't step up on protecting shipping lanes. The war has also pulled in the axis of resistance. Proxies in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, with the Houthis claiming joint strikes with Iran on Israeli targets just today. Meanwhile, BRICS is visibly split. China, Russia, and Brazil have strongly condemned the strikes, while India has stayed neutral to protect its own massive oil imports. The result is no unified BRICS statement, as even alliances built on multipolarity fracture when real interests collide. Regarding peace, the US has delivered a detailed 15-point proposal to Iran through Pakistani channels. Tehran labels the terms unreasonable, though quiet diplomatic whispers suggest some private willingness to talk as their domestic economy faces collapse. In a surprising move, Lebanon has offered direct talks with Israel, mediated by the US, to disarm Hezbollah and even explore normalization, an idea that would have been unthinkable months ago. Israel, however, insists on securing a buffer zone in southern Lebanon first. As of this evening, thousands of additional US troops, including units from the 82nd Airborne and Marine Expeditionary Units, are arriving in the region. The United Nations is calling for immediate restraint, warning that the situation remains fluid, deadly, and full of enormous stakes, with the world teetering on the edge of an even wider and more unpredictable global conflagration.